Today I am ecstatic. My friend purchased a 7V for aftermarket prices, and he was like, you know what, Roy, I'm gonna let you build it because I don't want to build it myself. So here I will just be unboxing it now. First of all, I'm gonna say the quality of this box is crazy. And the first thing that we're greeted with is plate foam and a polycarbonate plate, and the PCB followed right after it. We'll be putting those to the side, and then underneath that you'll see that we have the screws and the gaskets and I love novelty sticker. Moving forward, really getting into the meat of this unboxing, we have here the board covered in a microfiber towel cloth. Fast forwarding past this part, we are greeted by the board itself covered in a plastic bag. Fast forwarding through this part as well, making quick work of the unboxing, we are greeted by the 7V. A truly astonishing and beautiful keyboard, and a lot of people call it their endgame contender. Turning it around, we are greeted by a beautiful stainless steel mirrored finish weight with 7V engraved into it. A big part of me really wants to just not talk to my friend anymore and keep this board to myself, but we're not going to do that. Alright, first order of business, we got to toss on some gloves, and we put on the rubber bump-ons now as the first step of this building process. Alright, next we have 8 screws on the back of this board to unscrew. I like to unscrew all my screws in a crisscross pattern. So you choose one point, probably one of the corners, and then you go to the farthest point from that, so the one across from it. And then you just keep doing that until all the screws are off. Alright, next order of business, we gotta turn this thing around and go to the front, take out the front case, and we gotta unscrew 3 screws that hold the weight into place. Removing the bottom case from the weight will reveal a very raw finish from the weight, which is also very, very beautiful. I like it a lot. Now, the whole reason we remove the whole back piece is so that we can put this protective finish onto the weight, and so when the weight is back onto the bottom case and the weight doesn't get damaged, I guess. But then it covers such a small portion of the board. Like, what is this supposed to do, you know? Like, it covers that one small portion. What about the rest of the board? I don't know, man. Anyway, all we do from here is put the case back onto the weight, and then we screw the screws back in. Alright, here we have a JST to daughterboard connector. This will be connected to the bottom of the PCB to power the board. There are 4 screws to hold this in place, and I like to put 2 screws in first. I didn't do that here, but I put in 2 screws in each corner, opposite of each other, and I line them up into the case, and I just screw them in. Alright, our next order of business is to install these little gasket tabs, not onto the bottom case. He says to not put any gaskets onto the bottom case, but instead onto the top case. Now, as you can see, tweezers are kind of a necessity, and they help me a lot in this process. Without tweezers, it's going to be really hard to get these little tiny things out of there, and it just really helps to line everything up. Alright, after our gaskets are done, our next step is to first admire the PCB. Honestly, this PCB is probably one of the most beautiful PCBs like I have ever laid my hands on. After we're done staring for about 5 minutes, there are these little removable tabs, because this is a leaf spring mount, so a lot of these like leaf spring mount PCBs come with removable tabs. My hands don't really work on this, you have to kind of use tweezers to get them off. There are little arrows all over. Pretty much anywhere you see the PCB connecting to the removable piece, that's where you need to cut or bend or take off, whatever. Alright, so before we install any stabilizers, I like to band-aid mod my PCB. I have here some double woven band-aid that I got from Walmart. If you don't know, the band-aid mod is just you cut out a piece of band-aid, make it small enough to fit underneath the stabilizer, and you just stick it onto the PCB, and it's supposed to help reduce rattle and reduces the noise of it too. Alright, now all we gotta do is install some stabilizers, and through the power of editing, would you look at that? So for stabs, we have the usual Duroc V2 stabilizers. Housings are lubed with Krytox 205 grade 0. And the wires are lubed with XHT-DBZ. I did not opt to holy mod these stabilizers because my experience with holy modding and then using the XHT-DBZ is not that great. We can put the foam onto the PCB, and then followed by the foam, we just put on the plate. And I have a little switch installed already because this plate is pretty tight, but that's okay because we'll be soldering anyway. It's not like it's hot swap. The stabilizers help to align the foam pretty well. As for the switches, these are H1s with Krytox 25G0. They have Spirit 3.5 gram long springs. They're also referred to as the slow. The springs are bag lubed with 106G0, and of course we have deskeys film on them. This is not a recommendation. My friend just really liked the H1s for some reason, but he does not like cherry blacks. Alright, so here is our finished H1 polycarbonate plate foam, PCB combination. Since this is a soldered build, we will now have to solder this board, and it takes ages. Anyway, let's go over to the soldering station. Alright, so my soldering iron isn't anything special. It was like $20 on Amazon, and it came in a kit, and it had a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway, I don't think soldering is that interesting to anyone, and I don't think anybody wants to see me solder for 2 hours, so yeah. Let's cut to when the board is already soldered. Alright, here we have our fully soldered 7V PCB assembly. All we gotta do now is plug in the JST connector, aka the daughter board. You gotta line everything up. We put the top case back on. Then we turn this beauty around and put all 8 screws back into it. And once again, look at that beautiful weight. Honestly, this board and its aesthetics are truly an amazing thing, and I marvel at it every time. Luckily for me, my friend isn't going to be back from Guam until like September or something, so it's going to be sitting on my desk for a while. Anyway, all I have to do is put these keycaps on for my Savage. It's the EPBT X-Cock black on white. And let's get started with some sound tests.